MyMac Podcast 982, Apple Intelligence Delayed.
Hi everyone and welcome to this week's mighty MyMac podcast. Well, Apple Intelligence is the biggest feature of the next versions of nearly all of Apple's operating systems. Except, so far, other than some slick WWDC demos that didn't feel like demos but market speak, there's been very little concrete evidence any of it is real. Do you agree with that, Guy?
Yeah, I kind of think I do. Whoop, bounce, bounce, bounce. I hate the bounce,
Well,
Gaz.
I hope you do agree because you wrote it.
I did. I totally did. So, if anybody doesn't agree with, don't go on Gaz about it because it wasn't Gaz.
Well, I
wrote
said it,
that
so I've got
stuff
to agree. I've got to agree with it to a certain degree, I suppose.
to a certain degree. Yeah. Now we did a show last week.
Yeah, I'm gonna say let's not talk about that because you're gonna be talking about that in the next section. And yeah, you just jumped into the fact that we did a short, brief show last week because you were at MacStock. So come on, give us the lowdown.
It was amazing, and all credit to Mike Potter for the hard work and dedication, not just to him but to his team, mostly his wife and a few other volunteers. Their dedication to getting it right each year. The hotel was fantastic, and this was the first time that the actual conference was taking place in the same recommended hotel that, and so it meant that every morning you didn't have to get up and get in your car and drive over to wherever it was that it was going to be at. It was all right there in the same place. The presentations were top notch, and the people that were there, the company that I was keeping, they were all just wonderful. And I have, however, not one, but two complaints.
Complaints?
The chairs.
Don't you mean improvements?
Yeah. Oh, well, these could be improved. The chairs in the main hall, and I wasn't the only one who had this opinion. They were not great. They were kind of hard, and assuming that it's going to be in the same place next year, I'm taking some inflatable pillows with me because these chairs were not good. And the elevators were very, very slow. And this is a 6-story hotel. It shouldn't take 5 minutes for the elevator to get down to the ground floor. Just saying. But honestly, as compared to the community college, like you were there for the first year when they had it at the McHenry Community College.
Yeah.
The venue itself was really good, but to have to drive all the way there from wherever your hotels were was just a pain in the neck. Now something kind of funny that I'm going to tell you. Now, everyone who's listened to this show for a while, I don't make any secret of it. My right eye was removed last year. Okay. So once I got my prosthetic, I haven't flown in a plane. I guess that kind of goes without saying, but I haven't been in a plane since I got the prosthetic. And of course, there's big pressures in change in pressure when you get onto a plane. And what I was afraid of was that the pressure would either go too far up or too far down, and the eye would pop out. The prosthetic eye would come out. So it was like, okay, I'm going to take it out before I go and wear a patch. And I'll while I'm on the plane, that's what I'll wear when I go to Chicago. And that was fine. That worked out just well. And then I took the little tram that they have at O'Hare Airport to where you go to get the rental cars, because they have this whole separate area now. And I had my bag and I had everything that I was going to need. And as I'm walking toward the rental car counter, it was like, I'm probably not going to fill them with a great deal of confidence over my driving skills if I come up acting like a pirate, yar, here, give me a car just because I can't see out of one of my eyes. So I went into the bathroom and I went to put my prosthetic eye in. But the problem was I'm used to doing it in front of a mirror that is very, very close to me. So I was having all kinds of trouble getting it in. And as people are coming in and out of the bathroom, they're like, oh my God. There's some guy swapping body parts out. Well, all I want to
Yeah,
do is come in and pee. And here's a guy swapping out his eyes. What the hell's up
they're
with
run
that?
they're running out and going up to security saying, "There's a guy in there," and the security guy's interrupting them saying, "What is he doing? Drugs? He doing drugs? No, no, he's doing body parts." Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'll have to go
Yeah,
in and
I want
see
to go see
that.
that. Yeah, get that on TikTok. So, but I did obviously I got it in and got my car, and it was a nice car, but I swear to God, I will never get this car again. It was a 2024 Nissan Altima, which is much lower to the ground than I had anticipated. And me being as tall as I am, it was like, have you ever seen videos of like trees falling in redwood forests? That's kind of what it was like as I was trying to get into the car. And what made it worse was there's not like a whole lot of options to move the steering wheel up and down. It wouldn't go up high enough for me to get my right leg all the way in. So I had to like kind of bend off to one side and bend my leg and bring it was like, oh my God, this is terrible. But regardless, I get into the car, I plug my phone in, I look at the little screen that's there in the center of the dashboard, no CarPlay. This is a 2024 car
Wow.
from Nissan
Wow. Wow.
that did not have CarPlay. And fortunately, I had something with me that I could kind of clip to one of the sun visors so that I could see the phone while I was driving without having to, glance all the way down to like the drink slots or whatever you want to call that. And but it was just so weird. It was like, you got to be kidding me, Nissan. I mean, I expect that from GM because they're a bunch of slackers, but I don't expect it from a company like Nissan. It blew my mind, and the entire time I
Well,
had the car, it just made me the car made me angry. It was an angry experience with your car.
Well, I'm not sure whether I've told you whether we had time for me to tell you my full experience at Silverstone, and I'm not going to start now because it is quite a long story. So we're starting a bit later today, so maybe I'll tell you a little bit more next week about my camping experience and the fact that I think I
Uh,
did mention last week that I drove a Fiat 500, didn't I? I think I
yes.
mentioned that, and that was interesting, which saved my life one night. But we'll talk about that perhaps next week. This week, been as usual, been doing lots of cycling. Feeling pretty smug with myself, to be perfectly honest with you.
Hmm.
Done more miles in the last week or so than I've done before. Not a lot on my Mac.
Ooh, 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 ooh.
I've even put it into my notes that you do that
I
now.
know, I saw that. It was like, "Oh, okay, so that's my cue right there. Alright, good, good, good. These are good things."
I had a call from my daughter asking about a MacBook Air. Now, Guy, this is where the likes of you and I would do quite a bit of research, understand what we're going to do, understand what sort of Mac we're going to get, understand what we need to check, and make sure that we're getting a good deal. No, I'm
Mhm.
just about to go out and see somebody, Dad. What can you recommend about making sure that this MacBook Air that I'm going to buy in the next 10 minutes is okay? And I kind of go into meltdown, absolutely meltdown. It was an 8 gig M1. It's been hardly used as it happens. It's 2 years old. It's had 8 cycles on the battery, Guy. Just 8 cycles. So
Wow,
it's
in 2
hardly been
years.
used at all in 2 years. Um, the girl had said to them, "Well, I didn't really know how to use it, so I've not really used it." I thought, You must have paid £1,000 for it, which she had done. It's in mint condition. My daughter's loving it. She paid 450 quid for it. I gave her a few pointers, especially on the condition of the battery and the battery life, and also the important one of checking that the activation lock is not
Mm,
enabled. And
yes.
she did all the checks on it, and it's absolutely fine. It's a real kosher machine. But this person had just bought it, obviously gone with the Mac hype, but I don't think they really needed a computer. They could have probably got away with a Mac, with an iPad or something like that. To be perfectly honest with you,
I probably
anyway,
could have gotten away with
it's
like
done
one
my
of those
daughter a
folding
favor.
phones.
Yeah, it's done my daughter a favor because remember, she's the one that's been using my 11-inch MacBook Air from 2011. She opened
Yes.
This M1 MacBook Air, and she said, "It's
Is it
quick, isn't
is
it,
it
Dad?" Yeah,
yeah,
I went,
isn't it? Huh,
well, compared to the
huh,
2011 MacBook Air
yeah.
that you got, yeah, probably is quite
So,
quick.
gonna compare a 2011 Intel-based MacBook Air with a 2021, 2022 MacBook
2022,
Air
yeah.
with an M1 in it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it might be a little
Zoom,
faster,
zoom, 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 zoom. Anyway,
just a bit,
that was my week so far. Lots of other stuff going on, but not really
of
Mac
course.
related.
Oh, before we get off this, I am all by myself here at the house.
All by
By
myself.
myself. I hate
We
that.
are out of sync, and I think it's
We
because of the
are. We
delay. So
kind of are.
let's not sing.
No, well, there's lots of reasons why we shouldn't sing, but that's certainly one of them. Um, my wife's mother, who lives in Boise, after my son
Boise.
Peter's wedding, Boise, her sister got home and found her mother on the floor.
Oh,
So she's been in the hospital in rehab, and it's looking like she was having some memory issues. And it looks like this latest fall has kind of kicked that into overdrive. So it's looking more and more that she's going to have to go into a facility for people that have memory issues. And so my wife went out
I'm not
to
saying a word.
about what? Memory issues? What?
Nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there next year probably.
I wasn't talking about you, but let's move on.
Oh, oh, really? Well, I think about it all the time, or do I? So she's out in Boise and she left like I got back Monday. She left on Tuesday. So we did it was like, see ya, bread butter, bread butter. And she just went off to Boise. And I've been left to my own devices here in the house for the last week. And that's just not a good thing, Gaz. Um, but what it has given me a chance to do is catch up on some programs, old programs, not even new stuff. Though I did finish Star Trek Prodigy. Okay. And but what I have been kind of binging over the last few days, there was a show called Boston Legal. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Nope.
James Spader, William Shatner, and
Doesn't
William
help.
Shatner
Doesn't
speaking
he-
of
it doesn't help you calling out the names of the
okay, it's
actors.
it's it's a lawyer show that is 50% humor, 50% serious, and it's really good.
Whatever.
Yeah, early 2000s. It was a good show. And I have rediscovered that show, and that's what I've been watching. Um, other than that, I have to cook for myself, and after 30 plus years of cooking for the 2 of us, whenever it was my turn to cook, it's hard to make a good meal. I mean, that's not just crap. A good meal that isn't gonna give me 5 days of leftovers. You know what I mean? So, anyway, we should probably move on from that, but
We
that's
probably should, because that's not Mac
yeah.
related whatsoever, is it? Let's be honest.
Spent a lot of time on my Mac, though.
Yeah, well, that's good.
About
I like that. I like that. Let's jump straight in to something which is called Gaz's snippets. Okay. Apple CEO Tim Cook and software chief Eddie Q attend the Sun Valley conference. Now, um, I think I mentioned this once before, but I'm not sure whether this was the same conference or not. But the reason I'm mentioning this is I would have thought that Apple would have had some of its own, merchandise, like a bag at
Oh,
least
at the conference?
at the conference. Yeah, but he's walking in with a Nike bag. Nice and open. It's nice and clear. And he's got he's giving the old Churchill two-fingered salute,
Yeah.
positivity salute, not the reverse, and not the yours Delors English salute. But it's quite, plain view. He's got this Nike bag, and I'm thinking, really? Couldn't you just had an Apple bag? No, I think there's a deal going on in the background there. I'm saying no more. Find my
Well,
help, say Matt. Go on.
I was gonna say they probably have a bunch of them left over from, like, previous Macworld Expos, but they're so buried in a closet someplace that they can't find them.
Find My, which they could have probably used for those bags, helps a man
Yes.
recover his Apple Watch more than a year after losing it in the ocean. Now, why would you be
A hell
looking
of a
for your
charge.
Apple Watch a year after? And really, really, as you were going to mention there, the charge on that watch kept that really, really. I do
Yeah,
wonder about some of
I'm
these
smelling
stories.
something with that story, and it's not a good
Yeah.
smell.
No, it comes out the back of cows. Um,
It comes out the
Apple's
back of
Vision
everybody.
Apple's Vision Pro headset is impressive, but it's hard to know its ultimate purpose. And I got to agree here. I really have got to agree. I think Apple have played a blinder with the equipment, but
I finally
there's a
used
big
one.
but. Yeah, there's a big but going on there. So we'll have to wait and
Yeah,
see.
I finally got a
Um,
chance to use one when I was at,
oh, did you?
yeah, and considering, of course, that I only have half vision, it it was pretty impressive. $3,500 worth of impressive? No,
No. No.
but it was pretty impressive. And the part that surprised me, because I mean, I didn't spend any time really setting it up or anything like that. I just had the guy that owned it telling me some of the basics on how it works. And I was kind of stunned at how intuitive it was and how well the gestures work. And even if my hand is like below the field of vision for the device, I'd go like this and it would do, open something or close something, or I'd go like this and it would go over to some other screen. It was quite impressive. And no, I'm still not going to buy one.
Apple TV Plus Time Bandits official trailer revealed. I got really excited when I saw this, and then I got
Yeah,
really upset. And then I got really upset when I saw the first two episodes can be. I thought, here we go. We got a program which will have a great start, a positive middle, and absolutely no end. So I won't be watching it. There you go. That's me.
really.
Ah, no, no, no. Why? It's a TV series. They're putting into a series, guy, and as soon as they start changing films into series like that, that's it. They completely mess it up, and it'll just go on and on and on, and then it'll die, and they'll try and retrieve it, and it won't work. And don't like it. You still there? Well, if you are, I can't hear you. Uh-oh, people. I don't know if it's recording Guy's end. I don't know if he's recording. I can see his face is frozen. Both his eyes are shut, which is quite incredible. Um, yes, here we go. It's fucking 8:30, Guy.
Silverstone, sport doesn't always have fairy tales, but for Lewis Hamilton to win his last Grand Prix at home for Mercedes, to do it 9 times in front of the home fans, that gets pretty close to fairy tale status.
It did feel like the perfect Grand Prix for Lewis to win after what's been 2.5 years in the waiting. He's been a driver who's not used to waiting that long for race victories. It's fair to say the amount that he's accrued over all his years in Formula One. But the way that race unfolded, the fact that there were so many times where we thought other cars might have their chance of victory, it felt like one that Lewis really found his mojo at the right moment. It was great to see.
But DC, it wasn't just Silverstone, because of course Mercedes won Austria as well, with a little bit of help from Lando and Max coming together. Do we think that they're yet a team who are going to be consistently winning races?
Well, that all depends on what your definition of consistent is when you look at this year. The only consistent really has been Max, has been there right since the beginning of the year, which is why he's leading the championship. I think that victories are victories. They don't come just falling out of the sky. They've worked hard to develop that car. I don't think they're in the hunt for a victory here unless something unusual happens.
Okay, well, earlier this weekend, I sat down with Toto Wolff. You can see the full conversation tomorrow. But let's hear why he felt it was such a relief and so emotional to win at Silverstone.
It was a relief because it was a victory on merit. It was great to do it in Austria, but we have a team that's based in Brackley, just around the corner. Lots of Brits in the team. It was good and it all came together. And we had the pace. Lewis had a strong day. It's a fairy tale, but it's not only a fairy tale for him, it's also for the team, because this is the way we're signing off this final race in Silverstone together. And we've won it.
Well, DC, Toto says that they won Silverstone on merit. McLaren would say that they gifted him that race. Now, Billy and Lawrence are going to talk about this in a little bit more detail, but it was a tough day, the Sunday at Silverstone for McLaren. Was that a missed opportunity for them?
Well, they obviously feel so if they're saying that they've gifted, but you count the winners at the checker flag, and all of that, it could have been ours. Actually, that energy should go into why wasn't it yours? And I think that although they arguably have the fastest car over 1 lap right now, and they sat there in a car quick enough to win that Grand Prix, they didn't do so based on collective decisions from in the cockpit and on the engineering stand where strategy was called. So that could be seen as a criticism of McLaren, but those are the facts. So they've got to channel their energy into understanding what they could have done better. Don't doubt they will, and well, this could be the weekend where they absolutely nail it.
Billy, conflicting results for Red Bull, as we've seen so often. Max was second, Sergio Perez was 17th. This track.
I have no idea what just happened. We were talking, and then all of a sudden, the entire room just went completely dark.
Nice.
No, not so much. Come on, stop trying to change shit. And all of my audio that we had recorded from the very beginning is gone. So
what about your video?
That's what I'm not sure about. But if I end the recording, then it's going to be a pain in the ass to try to get everything set up again. Let's just go on the assumption that we have it. And if we don't have it, then we don't have it.
What? When you say
I don't want to,
we have it,
I don't want to start the show over from scratch, is what I mean.
Okay, so I've got obviously the recording my end. If you need it from my end,
is it audio or is it audio video?
It's only audio. I don't record the video.
Okay, good. I will need it because I don't want to use StreamYard's video converted to audio. All right, I'm going to hit record here again.
Yeah, you'll have to edit out.
Oh man, this editing is going to be a royal pain in the ass. All right, so I don't know where we stopped. What were we talking about when we stopped?
So you just said to me, I just said about the Time Bandits, and I said I'm not going to watch it, and you said really. So I can go from there and tell you why if you want.
No, we may, because it's going to be obvious. Let's just go ahead and acknowledge the power failure, and then we'll take it from there. So I'll bring us in. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi everyone. The weirdest thing just happened, right in the middle of, and I think what it is that the gods and powers that be don't like, not Eric Idle. Who was it that did Time Bandits, the movie? Which one of the Pythoners?
Oh, I
You
can't
remember?
remember. I can't remember.
Okay, well, obviously God does not like the Monty Pythoners because right in the middle of talking about Time Bandits, everything just kind of went completely dark here on my end. But to get back to the topic, Gaz was saying that he wasn't going to watch the end of it. And I have very fond memories of the movie Time
That's not what I
Bandits.
said. That's not what I said. What I said was I'm not going to watch the TV series. Full stop.
Okay, but what about the TV series did you not like?
I've not watched the TV series. This is a new TV series. It's a trailer.
Oh,
The
okay. I
Time
thought you had
Bandits.
said you would.
No.
Okay.
No. Time Bandits, the film, great. I've not watched any
Yes.
Time Bandits series since, and now obviously Apple are bringing out Time Bandits, and it's a TV series. I ain't watching no TV series, not a modern version, because what happens is they generally start off okay, and you get you in through, and they have a middle bit, but then it just dies. It just dies, and then they can't end it, and they try and keep it going, and it just kills it. And no. Live with a 1981 movie. That'll do me.
Yeah. Yeah. For all mankind. Sorry. Excuse me. Yeah.
Well, I agree with you.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
So,
Started off so great.
yeah.
And
Anyway,
they should have ended it.
Apple Watch is cleared by the CBP of infringing on the ECG patent. So FRAWTFMRL. Slashdot reader Kersley writes the US Customs and Border Protection determined that the redesigned Apple Watch models
So confused.
do not violate a live cause electrocardiogram patents, allowing them to be imported. Hurrah! So there you go. That's all done and dusted. I'm not going to tell you that one. I'm skipping that one. I'm going to do that one
Okay.
on the after show, which might not go in the after show as well. Apple approves the first. Apple approves.
There's going to be a lot on this show that the after show is.
There's on. I'll tell you what. There's going to be a bit that you're going to hear and see me do in the bit where you went off and StreamYard kept recording, and you're going to go, oh, really? Is that what you think, Gaz? Apple approves the first retro PC emulator for iPhone, iPad, and Vision Pro. So, if you've got all of those, I'm not sure what they call them. What do they call the retro emulators that you need, the software for it? Oh, there's a word for it. What do they call it?
Yeah, retro emulators.
No. But there's a word for the actual pieces of software, isn't there, that you've got? They keep them. That's going to really annoy me because I've never kept them. I don't have those games or the code for those games. They don't call it code. They call it something. It'll come back to me. Everyone's now shouting and screaming at us. But tough.
Right. As soon as we say, okay, good night, everybody, it's like, oh, damn it.
Yeah.
Now I remember.
Apple has released HomePod Mini in a new midnight color. Whoopee doo. I've put this in again because I liked this headline as well. Apple replaces the black HomePod Mini with a black HomePod Mini. I preferred that one, but the first one says it as
goodness.
Well. Apparently, Apple's iPhone sales in India have surged 33% to 8 billion. That's pretty impressive. Apple shares a hit.
8 billion? You mean 8 million?
No, 8 billion. 8 billion.
That's impossible.
That's what Bloomberg News says.
Okay.
Hang on. Even though India is one of Apple's fastest growing markets, the South Asian nation accounts for only 2% of its latest fiscal year sales of 383 billion.
Oh, money.
3 billion. Money. Yeah,
Okay.
not
I
numbers.
thought you were talking about units.
Not
I was like,
numbers. I mean, Crikey, how
oh my
many
God.
Indians do you think there are? Blimey.
Well, I think there's like a 1.5 billion people, and it's like, well, if every
Let
single one of them wants 6
Let
iPhones,
let
okay.
let me rephrase it then, because I can understand why you went down that avenue. Apple sales in India. I did say sales, so could go either way. Apple sales in India surged 33%. Yeah, got it so far to a record 8 billion. I should have said $8 billion.
Yeah,
Billion
that would have
dollar.
made much more sense. My mind went
No.
right to, wow, that's a lot of iPhones.
Yeah, Apple shares hit a new all-time intraday closing highs, closing at 237.23. I might get some more information on that in a little while. Man uses an Apple Watch to call the emergency after being swept away by water in Australia. Is this the same watch what the guy found a year ago? I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
as,
just
as he was being swept down
it's
the river, his hand hit the bottom and picked up an Apple Watch. And said, "Oh, let me
I'm
try it." Boop,
speculating.
boop, 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 boop.
I'm speculating. That is pretty impressive, though.
Oh,
Apple, again, the most valuable company in the world, worth 3.62 trillion. Apple Wallet now works with Presto Fair Card in the Toronto area. Good for them. Apple launches a new Safari ad campaign, a browser that's actually private. Seen a few of these ads, or this particular ad, a few times now on TV, as well as through YouTube and all the rest of it. I'm liking what they're doing. I just think there's a lot of people out there that got less secure devices and they don't actually care, which is a shame. Apple Health VP explains why sleeping with your Apple Watch will deliver the most accurate vitals.
as long as, but make sure you wear a condom.
Well, and make sure you've got plenty of time
I
to
don't know
charge
where
it
I
up.
was going. Never
Nor
mind.
nor
Never
do
mind. I don't know where I
nor
was
do I.
going with that.
Nor do I. And I've got to say, just make
Oh
sure it does
God.
charge up pretty quick, your Apple Watch. So, just make sure you
Yeah,
charge
20
it up
minutes.
before you go out in the day. Apple seeds the fourth beta of Watch OS 10.6. Apple releases the fourth beta of Vision OS 1.3. Apple seeds the fourth betas of iOS 17.6 and iPad OS 17.6. Apple seeds the fourth beta of Mac OS Sonoma 14. I think, people, we might be getting out some new software soon, because I don't normally mention the betas, but there you go. Apple shares hit a new all-time closing high, Guy.
What? Say it ain't so.
200 and, well, hang on a minute, it says here, or 200, a new Apple's intraday high was set on July 15th, 2737. That might be a repeat of the one I just did, actually, but it's a different version. I'm surprised at that. 237.23. That's the same one. That's a day later, and they're repeating their own news. 237. Ignore that. I'm moving on. Apple Store gets an overhaul with a revamped For Your Selection. Have you used it? I haven't.
No.
iOS 18 could Sherlock 400 million in app revenue. An anonymous reader has quoted from TechCrunch, Apple's practice of leveraging ideas from third-party developer community to become new iOS and Mac features in apps has a hefty price tag, hinting that an estimated 393 million in revenue could have been downloaded roughly 58 million times over the past year. So what they're saying is that Apple's new OS is actually stripping or Sherlocking. Most people know what Sherlocking means. If you don't, tough. That
We're not going to go
basically,
into it now.
we're not going to go into it now, but basically Apple are pinching ideas from developers, and that could be worth 400 million in app revenue from developers who may have made that money.
Wait, other side.
Yes, yeah, that's better. Apple helps launch the Bay Area Housing Innovation Fund. Apple is teaming up with the San Francisco Housing Accelerator Fund. Basically, it's an affordable housing development. Good for them. Well done. Spend some of your profits on people who need it. Good. iPhone 15 adoption continues to weaken compared to the iPhone 14. Now,
It's almost
a
like people
report,
know there's another phone coming out soon. Huh.
yeah. So people are prepared to buy the older phone rather than the newer phone because there's a newer phone coming.
Yeah, basically.
That makes sense, doesn't it? TinyPod turns your Apple Watch into an iPod. Now, I've heard a little bit about this, and I thought I'd just mention it because I didn't know whether you'd seen this. But if you've got an
No.
old Apple Watch and you're not sure what to do with it, a new product called TinyPod might be the answer. Priced at $79, the TinyPod is a silicon case with a built-in scroll wheel that houses the Apple Watch chassis. When an Apple Watch is placed inside the TinyPod, the click wheel on the case is able to be used to scroll through the Apple Watch interface. The feature works through carefully mechanized components that make direct contact with the digital crown on the Apple Watch. I'm not quite sure what that's going to give you, though. So I think it's got a speaker on the side, possibly, but it's not a speaker. It's basically a hole for the speaker, which is on the watch. Really, $79? Not sure. Not sure whether that's going to be something
Yeah,
which is useful if
I
you've
just
got
I
an old
just
watch.
looked it up. I mean, I'd never heard of this before, and I'm looking at a picture of it now, and it's kind of like, yeah, if you need an iPod, they're still available through like eBay and places like that
Yeah, yeah.
that will
I've got one if you
probably
want one.
work much better. Oh yeah, I've got an original one,
I,
not
I've
the
got
brand
I,
new
I've,
original
I've
one.
got a nano one. I've got a nano one here. Very nice. Anyway,
Yeah,
Celebrite has been unable, or Celebrite is unable to unlock iPhones on iOS 17.4 or later, a leak reveals. Israeli-based mobile forensics company Celebrite is unable to unlock iPhones running iOS 17.4 or later, according to leaked documents. The documents provide a rare glimpse into the capabilities of the company's mobile forensics tools. So there you go. Thieves, crooks, get 17.4 on your phone and then you won't be able to be hacked. After Apple,
for
Meta
now. Yeah,
is... Yeah, for now. After Apple, Meta is also withholding future AI models from EU countries. I think there could be a little bit of a fight going on there soon. Apple Music VP, guess what, guy? Apple Music
what?
VP,
Tell me.
guess what he's done?
I'm
He
on
has
pins and
claimed
needles here. Tell me.
that Spotify has stopped innovating.
What?
He
What?
steps.
Unbelievable.
I would never have thought that anybody would have had a dig at another company, especially an Apple person. Google Maps
Ugh.
is adding incident reports on Apple CarPlay, but apparently it's still not on Android Auto. Interesting. I like that. I like that.
Oh, what does that tell you?
Apple is looking to license more movies to expand Apple TV Plus library. Please, Apple,
About
please,
time.
if you could you please? Yes, sooner.
You should have done it from the
Now,
beginning. Pardon me. Sorry. Excuse me.
there was one thing here. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to find it now because there was a Steve Jobs archive which shared a never seen before footage of the 28-year-old Steve Jobs speaking at the 1983 International Design Conference in Aspen, Colorado. His speech was focused on the future of computers. Actually, I thought I'd got a different link for that. And in that link, there were one or two quotes, and I was just going to mention them here because I thought they were really relevant and interesting. So go out and find it, folks, and have a look. If I can
Then let
find the
us know.
link, no, if I can find the link, I'll put it in ours. But there was some really, it just made you go, yep, agree with that. Yep, yes, yep. Clever guy, Steve Jobs,
I've
clever
heard
guy.
that about him.
Yeah.
How come they never?
Apple
They should bring him back to Apple.
Guy, he's not
Um,
alive.
yeah. Oh well, you let that stop you.
Apple launching new Apple immersive videos, films, and concerts for Vision Pro. Wow.
Still not worth $3,500 in my opinion. It's cool.
Lawyers
It is
want
cool.
lawyers want 122.5 million of a $490 million settlement of a case alleging Apple CEO Tim Cook defrauded shareholders. Attorneys Robbins, Geller, Rudman, and Dowd, and Labaton Keller Suchcrow, who secured a $490 million settlement for Apple investors in a securities class action lawsuit, are requesting a quarter of that amount in legal fees. They argue the complexity of the case and the time invested warrant the hefty sum. The firm filed a request with a federal judge in Oakland, California, seeking $122.5 million in compensation. This translates to roughly, are you waiting? To $3,100 per hour for the 65 lawyers and staffers who reportedly dedicated a combined 39,500 hours to the case. Multiplying those hours by the professional hourly rates would yield an award of about 27.8. But they want 122.5.
No.
Incredible. I've got to say, your lawyers and your legal process in the States seems just a little bit broken. Just a little bit broken.
I'm surprised it was Oakland and not East Texas.
Apple has scored a record.
Get that dig into East Texas.
Apple has scored
East
a
Texas.
record. Will you let me finish?
I will.
Apple has scored a record 72 Emmy Award nomination and sweeps across the top categories. Thank you. Right. Apparently, Tim Cook gifted President Trump a $6,000 Mac Pro after he lowered tariffs on parts Apple needed from China. Moving on. Apple prepares for the
was he able to use it, or is he going to sell it to your daughter?
I'll let Guy finish laughing before I carry on, folks.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Apple prepares for the 2024 Summer Olympics with updates to maps, TV coverage, featured apps, and more. Thanks, Apple. So looking forward to that.
How many are going to survive the swim up the river? Up the polluted Paris River.
What, the Seine?
Yeah, it'll be insane.
While Windows PCs are rendered unusable, Apple's indomitable Macs are safe from the global CrowdStrike IT outage. I'll move on. $30,000 worth of counterfeit Apple products have been found in a traffic stop. The deputies say a speeding stop in Interstate 95 by Florence County Sheriff's deputies on July 16th turned up a surprising discovery. During the routine search of the vehicle, deputies found a significant amount of counterfeit Apple products valued at around $30,000. Well, $30,000. If they are counterfeit, they're probably not worth $30,000. Let's be honest.
Probably not, but they could probably sell it for that much, and then as long as they leave Florence or wherever it was that they were going to go try to sell them, then what are the people that bought them going to do?
That is the end of Gaz's snippets. I do, however, have a couple of Gaz's links. I should do that in reverse, really, shouldn't I? The first one is basically it's a link to the website that I used partially in what to look for and point my daughter what to look for when buying a secondhand Mac. So I just thought I needed to get this in. It's not really a for pick's sake. But I thought I'd want to put it into a Gaz's link because I had mentioned it, and there are a few other things that you might want to look at. So if you're looking to buy a secondhand Mac, just go over and have a look at that link. But equally, there is another link in there which I've put, which I've just said, wow, and it's referenced the CrowdStrike, how one faulty update killed half the world's IT systems. Wow, and that is all I need to say in relation to that. And that is the end of Gaz's links.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
was
all needs to be
following
said.
that yesterday. Okay, I won't go into it. I won't go into it. I could not believe what was going on. Okay,
No, I don't think
um,
anyone could.
let's go from one very, very real corporate screw up to one potential corporate screw up. And when will concrete proof of Apple intelligence actually be released? Gaz, Apple intelligence looks to be the next big thing in corporate released AI. But other than some talking points at WWDC, there's not much to show for it. Developers are eagerly awaiting to see the tools required to insert some form of it into their apps, and the silence from Apple has been deafening. Just as a reminder, according to Apple, there are supposed to be writing tools baked into some of their standard apps like Mail, Messages, Notifications, and Pages. Image creation based on your prompts will also be in Messages and Keynote, and likely other programs too, along with a new app that they're supposed to release called Image Playground. Siri. Siri is supposed to be infused. Actually, my phone just went, when I said
I heard
that.
that. I heard it. I did hear it. Yeah.
Oh, God, it's so funny. S Lady is supposed to be infused with Apple Intelligence, but nearly any change would be the better at this point. There's all kinds of promises about how it will work with other apps, but the proof will be in the AI pudding. Apple is supposed to be working with AI platforms like OpenAI, ChatGPT, and others. They're partnering with these platforms makes sense when you realize that Apple has either not bothered to make their own or that whatever they have is nowhere near ready for prime time. And that's kind of where I'm leaning toward. I think Apple has something that is supposed to rival things like OpenAI and ChatGPT, but it's just not ready to go. Apple is not a fan of partnering, especially with major releases like this, with other companies to do the work that they probably feel they should have done. Now, it's not going to be released, and this is the part that blows my mind. When iOS, the next versions of iOS and the Mac OS and Vision OS and all of these other Apple OSs are released, Apple Intelligence will not be part of it. And part of that delay may be that they're still hammering out the details on how all of this is supposed to work. Apple says a lot about privacy and generally walks the walk.
Yep.
But in this case, what do these other AI platforms get out of it? On their own, these platforms get a lot of information from their users, but Apple is so far claiming that there'll be none of that from queries coming from Apple users. There may be some deals that pay for play for higher capabilities that Apple can share with them, but this will likely pale in comparison to the user info that they won't be getting. You were about to say something, Cass. What were you about to say?
No. You carry on. You carry on.
Okay. In the end, Apple will be releasing their next versions of their operating systems with the promise of adding Apple Intelligence in the future. So, half baked at best with the feature everybody wants to come later. What's more, on a limiting amount of Apple hardware. Don't have at least an iPhone 15 Pro? Sorry, Charlie, you're left out. Don't have an iPad or a Mac with at least an M1? Too bad, so sad for you. Remember, these hardware requirements are what Apple is saying is the minimum for Apple Intelligence. Now, there could be further limitations before it's actually released. Okay, guys, sorry, go ahead.
No, I totally agree with everything you say. It seems that they've come out with a lot of um, shareholder release information, and it will be good if they can really hit what they're saying that they can do. But you're right. it seems to have gone into a little bit of a black hole for the time being. And yeah, the specs on the machines or the equipment that you're going to need to be able to utilize some of this will be quite high. But that's normal anyway. To be fair to Apple, that is normal for most equipment. However, if it takes them too long to get this out there and working, they're just going to be falling further and further behind the competition if they're not careful.
That's going to depend on whether or not the promises that they made at WWDC come to fruition. They had a lot going on. And when you look at the, I got to use air quotes here, demonstrations that they had at WWDC, a lot of it was kind of like pie in the sky stuff that other companies aren't doing with and the thing that impressed me the most about what they showed at WWDC was the focus on particular features instead of let's just throw everything onto the wall to see what sticks, which is what a lot of other companies have done with it so far. So if Apple is able to fulfill the promise that they made of Apple Intelligence when it is finally released, whenever it is, okay, that will be impressive. But in the meantime, am I going to bother to put the next version of iOS on my phone, especially since it's a 13? Am I going to bother to put the next version of it on my Mac or my iPad or any of the rest of my devices? Because if it doesn't have what they've kind of promised us to have, I may just wait until that comes out and see what it does and whether or not my stuff is going to be able to run on it. I don't see the point in getting it until that happens.
Nope.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement here.
I think we are.
Yeah.
I'm nodding my head.
Did you not hear it?
Nope.
Great. Okay. Well, nothing we can do about it now. Go.
I don't normally like. No, I'm not. No, I'll leave it. I'm going to play it. Actually, no, I'm going to play it. Hit it. No, that's not it, is it?
Okay.
Hit it. That's the end. Hang on. Here we go.
Hit it. Gaz's tips.
Mostly clean.
Gaz's tips.
Mostly clean.
Gaz's tips.
It's time for
Gaz's tip.
There you go. I've done it again. So people get twice. You don't normally get. It's like a double dose. It's like a double cornet with 2 bits of chocolate in it. Anyway, I don't know. Yummy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't normally like going into the terminal, guy, but this one is so easy, and I think I've just got to do it. So, everyone likes to either get an app or to go to a website to test their network speed. But did you know that Mac has a built-in option to do this, guy? All you need to do is open a terminal window. So you go up to your Finder icon and type in terminal, open up a terminal window, and type the phrase network quality, all one word, no spaces, network and quality, two together, press return, and give your Mac time to finish the process, and it will come up with your uplink capacity, your downlink capacity, up and down lead speeds, responsiveness, and idle latency. Then you can close your window after you've either copied and pasted it if you want to keep it somewhere, or just had a look at what the results are. But that I thought was quite interesting, wasn't it? Yes.
Hit it. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips.
Is that the end of the tip?
Will you let me finish?
Gaz, you are absolutely right.
You see,
and you know what this means?
Go on.
You're going to have to do that little thing that we were talking about earlier that I didn't yet have in Farrago. or you won't be able to hear it.
Correct.
Okay. So, and we're being very cryptic about what it is that we're talking about for a reason.
Yes.
There's a good reason why. All right. But before we get to that thing that we haven't quite mentioned yet, there's no for pig's sake. If you could, please, if you'd like to leave some feedback, you can do so in the podcatcher of your choice. We would love to give you something that we call a Woo T. And if you don't know what a Woo T is, it's a big W, big O, big T, little I, little E, exclamation mark. And it will make your life different. We're not saying good or bad, good or bad, just different.
Different.
Yes, different. And do we have any feedback this week, Gaz?
Do you know, I have a feeling that we might do, because I think we both got a copy this time of a certain Mr. Cheesed Off. Hit it, Mr. Cheesed Off.
Hello, Guy Gaz, Mr. Cheesed Off here. Have you heard Apple's earth-shattering news? They've changed the HomePod Mini's colour from space grey to midnight. Hold on to your hats, folks. It's slightly bluer. A colour update in the middle of July, because that's what we're all clamouring for in this heat. I mean rain. A barely different shade of black for our smart speakers. They're calling it an update. My cheese sandwich gets more updates than this. We've been waiting for a proper refresh, and what do we get? A colour that's about as new as last week's newspaper. Oh, but now it matches the bigger HomePod. Thank heaven for that. I can finally sleep at night knowing my speakers coordinate. And all for the same price of £99. What a bargain for 3-year-old tech in a slightly different wrapper. If this is Apple's idea of innovation, I can't wait for the iPhone 16. Now we're 0.01% more rounded corners. I don't know. It all really cheeses me off.
Well, I've got to say, Mr. Cheesed Off, I would not like to live in your household, because even Mr. Cheesed Off, do you know what I took from that? Other than the absolutely brilliant commentary around the speaker, what I took away from that was Mr. Cheesed Off eats cheese sandwiches. That's what I took from that. And I wondered why he's... Go on.
I think he uses an iron to give it the crispy side on both sides. He doesn't skillet it. He does not skillet fry it. It's got to be an iron.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cheesed Off.
We do.
We
love
really
you,
appreciate it.
Even though we don't know who the hell you are.
We have not yet heard for a while from some of our other regulars. We haven't heard from Marcus. We haven't heard from the two Gregs, one from New York and one from North Carolina. So, and it's not limited to these 4 people that can give feedback. We would love to get feedback from any of you, and to give you some incentive. I don't know if you realize this, Gaz. We are 3 shows away from our 700th episode.
Together. We want to be together.
Yes. Because 700 equals 985. This is Guy math. Okay?
I like it.
Keep that in mind. 700 equals 985. So we are 3 shows away. And you know what we have planned for that show? I'm going to give you a little hint here. You know what we got planned for that show, Gaz?
I don't, actually.
It's going to be just another regular show. I have absolutely nothing planned whatsoever. And I see Wilf. I see little Wilf tail going off into the background. And putting that aside, putting little Wilf's tail aside, if you would like to help support the show, you can do so by going to patreon.com/MacPettit. You can also go to Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/MacParrot. And if you would like to pay a pal, you can do so by going to paypal.me/MacPettit. You don't have to. We'll keep doing this show anyway, whether you want us to or not. Maybe if you give us money, we'll stop doing the show. But it could happen. Some kind of weird reverse logic. Yeah. Let's go with that.
Stop.
Pay us to stop. It's a threat. Is that a threat, Gaz? It
It
sounds
is.
like one.
No, more like a promise, to be honest with you.
I promise, like, please, make it stop. Well, Gaz, if people wanted to contact you and say, how big of a check should I write to make the two of you stop doing this show, how would they do so?
Ever so easy. Just send an email to Gaz at mymac.com, or you can contact me on the socials as Gazmaz. And if you find that I'm not responding, then send me an email to Gaz at mymac.com and I'll point you in the right social direction. See what I did there? You can also contact Guy and myself on the X's/Twitters, whatever it's called, at X or Twitter /Guy and Gaz, GYANDGA.
Gaz.
Caught you out.
You did. You totally did.
Z.
Oh, I screwed that up. Cars. Damn it.
Thank you. You can also send an email to feedback at mymac.com. That's FWDBACK at mymac.com.
His name was Guy.
Yes.
Guy.
Yes,
Guy.
it is.
Guy's the one.
He's the guy.
You remember Guy?
Guy says,
Do we know it was a guy?
We do.
no fooling.
If you want,
Oh,
An email from Guy.
without any,
No fooling.
how would they do it?
you would do that by opening up the email client of your choice and typing in.
Oh,
There you go. At mymac.com. Ooh. You can also find me over on all of the various socials. I am both Mac Parrot and Vert Shark over there on the Twitters. I am Vert Shark at Instagram and Threads. And I don't know, I need to just make like one freaking social media presence instead of confusing everyone. Mac Parrot over at Counter Social and Mastodon.social. And we have a Google Voice number, Gaz. We do.
we
What?
do. We do. We absolutely do. Would you like to know what it is?
I would. Tell me.
Call 703-284-677 for the MyMac podcast with Guy and Gaz. It's tech heaven. That's
Yes.
703-284-677. Yeah.
It went down again.
No, that's because I'm.
It went down
I
again.
don't. I can't help that.
Oh, you know why? I forgot with all the confusion today. I forgot to go into audio settings in StreamYard and turn off the ducking and all that other stuff. So that's my fault.
Ducking
Yes.
hell.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Or some derivative of those words.
Well,
We would like to say thank you.
thank you.
Thank you so very, very much for joining us here on the mymac.com podcast with power outages and all kinds of stuff that's in the after show that you're never, ever going to hear, ever going to hear, unless we're both dead. And then we won't care. However, having said those things, I think, Gaz, that this week we're
You
good
are
enough. I don't know where
mental.
I so am. I so very, very much am. And I would like to say, I would like to think that I'm smart enough, that we're smart enough, but no, there's been too much craziness this week. And that, doggone it, little Wilf butt going in and out of the room. Woof, woof, Wilf. Wilf, woof, woof. Wilf. People like us.
Did you hear, Guy, that laughing too loudly is illegal in Hawaii?
I did not.
That's because they only permit aloha. End.
They are that joke, aren't they?
nothing to worry about. Get out of here now. Go on. Go on home and go home.